Good. All right. Let me start. Actually, I didn't start the recording yet. So there we go. So
Right.
one more time. Namo Amida Butsu.
Namandits. Namandits.
Good to see you. Good to see you again.
Likewise.
Didn't get myself organized to get my Nenju out for the last session, so I gotta have it now. I only use these. These are my very special, precious uh, lapis lazuli
Oh, I like that.
Nenju that
The,
my wife made for me. So yeah, with the
oh, it's
proper
lovely.
like sort of knots in between and everything. So yeah,
Mhm, mhm.
so I'm very
And she made that from scratch.
yes, yep,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
very impressive. It's lovely.
yeah. She's just one of those people that's just like naturally talented and everything that she does. Like, there's definitely some very strong, good karmic causes and conditions that have ripened in this rebirth for her because she is amazing with the crafts, whatever it is, gardening, uh, you name it. And as a leader, actually. Now, while we're on this topic, she is like a natural leader. That's what she does. She's a senior manager. But anyways, um, but she's a good one. She's very unlike most senior managers that you know today. I would say she actually has vast integrity and will get it done, like properly done, and people naturally want to be working for her. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, while we're on the topic of of the of not of good leadership, as it were. Anyway, so shall I share my screen and we'll continue with our discussion of the that's the wrong one. There we go. Of the AT. We're almost done. We should get these done and then move on to another part of the Chakravartin discussions. So yeah,
So
continuing
we
our
were on
discussion of the AT
72.
marks of minor marks, I should say, of a great person. Anyway, yeah, what were we gonna say?
So yeah, so we were on 72, and when it cut out, I was saying that my shadow isn't blue, but I mean, that's the only thing that we've got here that refers to the hair, the reason for the color of the hair, which is
Mm,
always something I'm sort of interested by, what the
mm,
significance of that is.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
There's something.
And then, yeah, sorry, go on.
Go ahead. Yeah, what were we gonna say?
No, I was moving on, but
It just seems to me it seems like it's like a deeper truth. That's what I
mm,
was with that dark shadow and the almost darkness that's almost blue, that has that blue hue. To me, that harkens of something inconceivably true, like inconceivably the kind of the ultimate truth somehow for some reason that or voidness maybe, voidness in the true sense of suchness. Do you see what I mean?
mm,
That's what it
mm.
conjures up in my mind, for me at least. Anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously these were written in Sanskrit or Pali, but the Chinese character for like mystical can also mean or esoteric can
Hmm.
also
Hmm.
literally dark
Yes.
or
Yes.
shadowy. So
Subtle.
yeah,
Subtle.
yeah,
Yeah. Beneath the surface, can't be directly understood, kind of kind of thing. Yeah. All right. So
and then
his hair is
74.
strongly scented.
Yes, strongly scented, and then also has the scent of a white lotus. And the
Mm,
white lotus, I mean, that's the like the what's the Myokonin relates to the white lotus because there's in the sutra there's sort of this multicolored lotuses, lotuses of multiple colors, at the
yeah.
top of which is white lotus, which is the most precious, and that's also what's associated with the Buddha himself, right? So there's a symbolism there.
Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
the animal realm had to join us quickly. Or they're starting to sound more like monkeys and chirping rather than dogs at the moment, so I don't know if you could if the noise cancellation was picking that up, so I just decided to intervene for a moment and just pop her on my lap. They were being very good through the first session,
Need attention.
sitting on their cushions, behind me here, but now they're a little bit more energetic. So, right. So, yeah. So let's go to, um, yeah. So, sorry, what were you saying? So, continue with what you're saying.
Yeah, so just that the white lotus is symbolic of the Buddha. The white lotus is the most precious of lotuses. So that's interesting. That yeah, it seems
Yeah.
significant.
Yeah.
White
Yeah.
specifically, the
Definitely.
white lotus.
The White Lotus,
Um,
and yeah, it refers to us. Yeah, and the teachings, our teachings, from the sutra, isn't it? The larger sutra refer to us as
mm, white lotuses.
white lotuses. Those, you people of Shinjin, people in whom
Mm, mm, mm,
Shinjin
mm, mm.
has arisen and settled through Amida Buddha's, you know, vow power, are referred to as white lotuses. And that's what we're born immediately, aren't we? In the Pure Land from the White Lotus
Mm, mm, mm.
as a Buddha immediately. Not there's no don't need to spend time in there, and you know anyway. So anything else?
Uh,
Did you say anything else about that?
no, no, well, no. In 75, he has curled hair, which is interesting. I don't know what the significance of that is. I don't know if curled hair is. I mean, most South Asians have fairly straight or wavy hair, so curled hair, I suppose, is unusual.
Mm,
Um, in that context.
mm.
I mean, you see it, but you don't see it very often. The
So
76
so it's a sign of
is
somebody
interesting.
different. It's that's
Mm.
someone different than
Not the average person, yeah,
not
someone
the average person. Yeah. Yeah.
right. And then 76 is interesting only because it's interesting to me because whenever you look at images of the reclining Shakyamuni at his death,
Yeah.
he's in his 80s and he still has dark hair,
Yeah. Yes. Yes, that's
right?
true. Yeah,
So
exactly.
um
And it kind
and
of,
then that's
you
also
know, it kind of, sorry. Yeah,
no, no,
both
that's all right. That's
the animal realm is joining us for our discussion in the human realm. Anyway, so sorry, B. Sit down. Good boy. Stay down. All right, down you get. All right. So yeah, and it kind of harkens of that, though, he is the Buddha. So he's, um um it kind of it kind of so while he's in human form, he's still the Nirmanakaya. He is the Nirvana. He's in Nirmanakaya form as a human. He is a Buddha.
mm, mm.
So the set the same rules of impermanence might not impact. Do you know what I mean? Um, what am I trying to say? Not sure if that's the best way to put it. Um, it's just a sign of his true station. The as the you know as a Buddha, as a uh, I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm trying to. Do you
No,
see what I'm getting
no,
at? Like,
I do. I
not
see what you mean.
like
Because I mean,
whereas an ordinary person would grow, be gray and grow old, and um, I don't know. Are there in the other in any other places? Um, is the aging of the Buddha ever referred to?
yeah, yes, yes. In
So I mean
yeah.
I know that obviously his before his peri-nirvana he had become ill, you know, and that's discussed, isn't it? But is that referred to as part of the? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Yeah,
Where?
yeah. In the Nirvana Sutra, and that's the wait, I have to get this, make sure I get this right. The Mahayana Nirvana Sutra,
Yeah.
not the Pali Nirvana Sutra.
Yeah.
Um, he says that he could live forever if he so chose to. So he's becoming ill and dying. That's a choice, right?
Yes.
And kind of
Yes.
in truth, he's eternal because I mean ultimately, at least that's I mean it's kind of a uniquely Mahayana take. Only he's the only thing that's eternal. Or you know, so maybe that's sort of symbolic of that his hair
Yes.
doesn't turn gray, right?
Yeah. Well,
Um,
maybe the rest of his body did. The hair doesn't as a sign.
yeah.
And that's, it brings there's a, that's a broader there's a broader kind of spirituality kind of tradition
Mm, mm,
beyond even Buddhism about the hair, isn't there? You know, why, certain cultures they don't, cut their hair, or certain, do you know what I mean? Or, certain, for spiritual reasons, they don't cut their hair, or for cultural reasons, but there seems like there's a spiritual significance related to the hair, especially in certain cultures and certain spiritual
mm,
paths
mm, mm,
and
mm.
things. So it kind of makes sense that if you're going to have the one thing that is that symbol of of the beginninglessness, you know, of the unborn nature of the Buddha, it would be kind of that in a sense.
Well,
Yeah.
and also it's the highest point on the body, right?
And
Like the
yes, yeah,
most elevated. Yeah.
true, true.
Um, and then the point 80, he has a top knot as if crowned with a royal flower garland, which sort of echoes what was before about the top
Mm,
knot being crowned. But
yeah.
um, it's interesting that the references to the top knot are all in this list, and the references to the what was it called, the Ushdana,
Yeah, one sec. I might still have a page up for that. Let's see. Hold on. I think I do. Yeah. Ushnisha, I think. Ushnisha.
Ushnisha. Yes, the
Yeah.
Ushnisha. Sorry, yeah, I got that wrong. Um,
Yeah. Ushnisha. Yeah.
the all the references to the Ushnisha are in the 32 marks, which is kind of
Yes.
I don't know what the significance of that is. It's just a
Yeah.
interesting
Yeah.
to note.
Interesting. No, it's more, yeah. So the 32 marks are very much, they're the main things, and, very maybe more weighted on the spiritual side, whereas the minor marks seems like it's more weighted on the sort of physical attribute side, but hearkening of something spiritual.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is
And I mean, I
that?
suppose I mean, an Ushnisha is more. I mean, it's more unusual, right? Like, I mean, not everyone's gonna hypothetically anyone could have a top knot, right? It might not look as
Yeah.
good on you, but
Yeah.
as on the Buddha. But yeah, yeah, yeah. Um,
And not everyone that wears one, would it be a necessarily a natural crown?
yeah, yeah. Or a royal garland of
Certainly
flowers.
not. Yeah. But
It's also interesting
yeah,
that the Ushnisha is sort of literally anterior to the top knot on his
it's,
head,
yeah, the Ushnisha. Yeah,
and
yeah,
then the top knot. So yeah, that's very interesting.
it is.
Can we just look at there's like at the bottom
It's
of the
almost
page on
like two sides. It's almost like two aspects. Do you see
mm,
what I mean?
mm, mm,
Of
mm, mm, mm.
something referring to the same thing, but maybe the Ushnisha referring to like the spiritual Buddha side, and you know, um, the top knot referring more to this world, samsaric side, almost nirvana and samsaric sides, of the same thing. I don't know, something like that. Just a speculation. What were we going to say there?
Sorry, on the list of 80 marks,
Yeah,
there was a little something written at the bottom there. I
back
just
to
wanted
that.
to take a
There
look
we go.
at. Yeah, so according to Guangxing, the 80 marks are related to the 32 major marks and are merely a more detailed description of the Buddha's bodily features.
Hmm,
Um,
interesting. Shall we read the rest of this in
yeah,
the?
and in the Sarastivadin Abhidharma Mahavibhasha Shastra, it is said that the minor marks are among the major marks, but not mixed with them. just as flowers in the forest make the trees distinctive. Not sure what that means.
So it's almost like it's it gives it more like character. Like
Yeah, okay. Right,
it
yeah.
adds to the third two marks more detail. It adds more
Mm,
detail
mm,
to
mm,
the
mm,
mark. So like, you just have the leaf, but then if you look closer, you see the different veins and how they shaped and the different colors in the leaf and the texture of the leaf and the do you see what I mean?
mm, 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 mm,
Kind of thing. Anyway, something like
mm,
that.
mm, mm,
Yeah.
mm, 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 mm.
Yeah. So the 32 marks are the main thing, but the 80 minor marks kind of give you flesh it out, as it were, quite literally, flesh it out. Kind of make it more detailed, more real, or something. More yeah, relatable, maybe even. So it's just talking about the sources of the 80 minor characteristics of the Buddha are enumerated a number of times in the extant agamas of the Chinese canon. Um, in Pali literature, the 80 minor characteristics are found in the Apadana and the Milindapana. Some scholars believe the 80 minor characteristics were an early development in the Buddhist tradition, but held as important by the Sarvastivada school. Any of those? Do
Mm.
you want to look at any of these? What these are, or
I
just
think the Mil is the Milindapana. That's questions for King Milinda, right? Is that?
yeah, the
Yeah,
text
yeah.
from the Pali Canon that records a dialogue between the Buddhist sage Nagasena and the Greco Bactrian king Melinda, aka Menander. Okay, Menander the first. Yeah, John Kelly States composed. Okay, yeah. Do you want to go to that page or any
Or
or
I'm happy to leave it if.
yeah? I also want to see what is the Sarvastivada school. Um, were the Sarvastivada, sorry, were an early Buddhist school identified as a branch of the. I'm not going to even try to pronounce that. It was established. They were established around the reign of Asoka.
Which
It
is, I mean, it's
was,
interesting. I mean, it's
yeah.
really
That
interesting. But
let's
yeah.
go into that one. That since Ahsoka is if it is during the time of Ahsoka, I think that's worth um, looking at. So established around the reign of Ahsoka. It was particularly known as the Adidharma tradition, with a unique set of seven Adidharma works. The Sarvastivadins were one of the most influential Buddhist monastic groups flourishing through North India, especially Kashmir, and Central Asia during the 7th century. The Orthodox Kashmiri branch of the school composed the large and encyclopedic Mahavibhasa Sastra around the time of the reign of Kanishka. Because of this Orthodox Sarvastiv Sarvastivadins who held the doctrines in the were called Mahabhasa, were called Vaihasikas. So let's just have a look and see if there's anything else related to Ahsoka in this.
I mean, it's unlikely to be in here, but I'd wonder what
Yeah.
they had to say about those since the marks were important to them. I wonder what they had to
Mm,
say about that
yeah.
vis-a-vis Ashoka. Um,
Maybe that's something we can come back to at some point
mm,
and
mm,
see if we
mm.
can find something about that. Right. So we right, so we go back to the main page. And so we've gone through metaphysical. So we go through the comparison to the Buddha. I don't think we did that
Yes, yes.
part, did we? Yeah.
No, no, no.
All right. So
So, we I think we did the first paragraph here. That's how we got onto the 32
yes, there we
maybe
go. So that's what I was
long
looking
time
for. How
ago.
we, yeah, yeah. So 32
Um,
and 80. Yeah, that's how we got. Yeah. So they both have that. But go ahead. Yeah. So Chakravartins similar so let's just read it again. So physical attributes, Chakravartins have similar physical attributes to a Buddha. Like the Buddhas, a Chakravartin is said to be endowed with the 32 marks, 32 major marks and 80 minor marks of a superior person. According to Gateway to Knowledge, the major and minor marks of a Buddha are superior to those of the Chakravartin in that the marks on the Buddha are more clear and distinct. Also, a Buddha has a few marks that are not found on the Chakravartin, such as the protuberance, the Upashina, that we've spent some time talking about on the crown of the Buddha's head. So that's one thing that the Chakravartin will have the top knot, but not the
can we just look at the reference, the footnote
yeah.
for
Let's
that?
see. Yeah. Oh yeah, I did want to come to that and see
Yeah.
who's saying that. So let's go into it. Uh, Kenjuk, and it's the abbreviated the Gateway to Knowledge, an encyclopedia treatise composed by Jamgon Mifam Rinpoche at the turn of the 12th or 20th turn of the 20th century, which is often one of the first texts to be taught in Tibetan Buddhist Shreda. This text was translated into English by Eric Pema Kunsang in a 4-volume set entitled Gateway to Knowledge. Interesting.
If I'd have to double check, but I think I was writing about him just yesterday.
Oh, really? Is that for
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
that for
I was
Buddhador?
for Buddha's Door, yeah, because he wrote
Buddhist door.
I can double check that right now. I believe he is the author of um bear with me for 1 second. Uh Jamgon Mipham. Is that right? Jamgon.
Yes, Jamgon,
Yes.
composed by
Yeah, yeah.
Jamgon. Yeah.
He wrote a book called The Just King.
Ah, okay. And you're about
Yeah,
to. Oh,
which, yeah,
that's
which
good.
it came up in the thing I was writing yesterday. So so
No,
that's
excellent.
interesting.
That's
Yeah.
definitely related. I'll look forward to seeing that as well. Definitely relevant to our our discussion. The Just King. Anyway, yeah, excellent. So yeah, that kind of makes sense. That's just one, obviously one reference and take on that. But it does make intuitive sense that the the major and minor marks would be maybe lesser, you know, slightly lesser in the Chakravartin than the Nirmanakaya Buddha kind of thing. That does make kind of intuitive sense
Did
to
it
me.
did it
But again,
did it,
that's just
did
one,
it
you know, reference here to that. So keeping
did
that
it
in mind.
say in what we were reading earlier that oh, I think I wrote no, I haven't.
Yeah, you did for a
It,
moment. Yeah.
okay, right. That the protuberance was not present in the Chakravartin because I was under the impression that it was.
Hmm. In something else we were reading about the Chakravartin,
Yeah, when we read, I think it was the Wikipedia page or some kind of entry on the I can't
hmm.
pronounce that. The
Or maybe just on the actual thing itself, the actual
yeah,
page
yeah.
itself about.
Ushnisha, on about the
Let's
Ushnisha.
see. Let's see if it says it here. So the verse and the
No, it doesn't say
introducing of a
anything on
Buddha,
it.
which is the uh, yeah, it doesn't. referred
No.
there anyway too, but this is just, this one uh wiki here, the Rigpa Shredder or Sedra Shed Rigpa Shedra wiki. So I mean, we might have touched on it somewhere else. Uh, there's so many things open here on this subject just from our discussion. Spontaneous research as we go. So, yeah, maybe that is the case. That's
Well,
again something else. Maybe we have to look into a bit deeper to see. Is this the
wait,
this
wait,
is this is the Wikipedia page here? Maybe,
wait, sorry. Could you scroll down on this, the Wikipedia? Keep going.
yeah,
Buddhism.
yeah, that's the
Here.
Buddhism bit.
The last paragraph there. The early Buddhist Mahavastu and the Divyavadana, as well as the
Ah,
Theravada
yes, yes.
Milinipanya, describe the
Yeah.
marks of the Chakravartin as
So
ruling Ushnisha.
there's different
Um,
takes,
yeah, there's different
apparently.
takes.
There's different teachings for different times. What's what? Well, how does David Politis put it? Local reports for local consumption. Yeah.
Now it's also possible. It's also possible that they're talking about different kinds of Chakravartins,
True. Yes.
right?
Yes.
Which
Perhaps. Perhaps the ultimate one that we're kind of discussing, sort of mostly, maybe the ultimate Chakravartin. That's the Chakravartin equivalent to that only comes rarely at the time of a Nirmanakaya Buddha or just before a Nirmanakaya Buddha. Maybe that one has both, but maybe the others don't.
I mean, and since he
The
was
other lesser.
um already forgotten his name. I'm so bad with names. The Tibetan teacher um was writing. I didn't realize he was writing as late as that. It was the turn of the 20th
Third
century.
of the 20th century, yeah.
Maybe his concern is more with the lower orders
Hmm.
of Chakravartins, right?
Maybe.
He when
Well,
he
there
was
is that
writing,
practical
yeah,
aspect to Vajrayana and Tibetan Buddhism. They, even though it's very, esoteric and empowerments and it's still very much they're very aware of almost in the way that Jodo Shinshu Buddhists are of the times in which we live. So maybe, yeah, as you say, he's being kind of bringing it down to our the level of our times type of thing. So
and I'm also thinking. At the time that he was writing, Tibet would have been part of the Qing Empire, the Chinese Qing. Um, the Qing emperors were generally practitioners of Vajrayana Buddhism. So maybe he had them in mind when he's writing about
hmm,
Chakravartis, and he'd also probably be aware that they were the best he was going to be able to hope for was the lower orders of
hmm,
Chakravartins. So,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
yeah, um,
that makes sense.
yeah. I'm speculating,
Yeah,
um, but
kind of all
yeah,
we can do. Yeah. Okay, good. So happy with that part of our
uh,
discussion then? Yeah. We
satisfied.
go back to the main. Oops, let me see if we can get back to the main page. Yeah, there we go. This is the main page, right? Yeah.
Mm,
So,
mm, mm.
all right. So mental attributes. Just get that out of the way. Actually, I'll bring this down further. There. Oh, sorry, folks. Unscripted, unrehearsed. No teleprompter free here at the Gankai channel. Mental attributes. Would you like to read?
Yeah, sure, sure. So the Chakravartins do not possess all the mental and supernatural attributes of the Buddhas, according to Study Buddhism. No idea how reliable of a source that is.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Let's look at Study Buddhism.
right,
What's that about?
what is that?
Is an online source for information on Buddhism, presenting primarily. Oh, at 10 minutes. Primarily, sorry,
Primarily,
primarily the Tibetan Buddhist perspective. The website is developed under the guidance of Dr. Alexander Berzin, a Buddhist teacher, translator, and practitioner. So, keeping that in mind with this quote.
yeah, exactly. So Although wheel-turning emperors, Chakravartins, share the same bodily features as a Sambhogakaya and Supreme Nirmanakaya Buddha, they lack the other qualities of a Buddha and thus are not fitting objects indicating safe direction. Okay. For example, a wheel-wielding emperor cannot emanate innumerable bodies simultaneously throughout all universes in order to benefit all living limited beings. Further, according to Mahayana, a Buddha's enlightening body pervades all Buddha fields. I'm
Mm.
not going to try to pronounce the Tibetan there. And all Buddha fields appear in every pore of a Buddha's enlightening body. Wheel-wielding emperors lack such inconceivable physical
Hmm.
quality.
Yep.
That seems
Yep.
that seems that
That
checks
kind of
out.
goes along with what we were
Yeah.
the other things that we've just
Mm-hmm.
been discussing again, checking the source for yourself, but for everyone who's might hear this. But it does make sense. And if you think about, um maybe that's why the Chakravartin needs the wheel to sort of carry him to the different worlds of his realm. Yeah, I'm talking about the ultimate, and thinking of one the lowest world unit as a multiverse, as I do. This is just my
Mm-hmm.
own, um, whereas a Buddha could appear simultaneously in Nirmanakaya forms throughout that world system. The Chakravartin needs the wheel to go before him and carry him to these places, or communicate through the wheel. The wheel, he's where he is and communicates through the wheel. I'm not sure. This is just sheer speculation on my part. Um, but yeah, that's you know the wheel would travel. As far as I know, in the teachings, the wheel goes before the Chakravartin to kind of announce, as we've discussed, his coming, this is his time and his domain now, and people just naturally kind of see the wheel and are like, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Now I don't need to worry about politics now. We've got the Chakravartin. We've got the ultimate Chakravartin now. I don't need to worry now. So do you see what I mean? Whereas the
Mm-hmm.
Buddha will appear in multiple forms and bodies himself in all those worlds. Do you see what I mean? Kind of makes, I don't know, again, intuitive sense. This is just my sheer speculation here, but yeah. Is that
Yeah, that makes total sense to me.
uh,
Um,
anything else you
so
want to say about that?
no, I mean just it, like you were saying, it's with the proviso that the details of this might be off. It seems generally consonant with the idea that the authority, the worldly power of the Chakravartin is consistently subordinated to the spiritual authority of the Buddha. Um, that's yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
that's it's a hard and fast principle.
So,
Um,
and he's
of
in
course.
his role, this one anyway, the ultimate kind of highest order, the golden Chakravartin, is part of his role is to announce kind of the
Mm.
coming of the Buddha, is kind of to prepare the people, the beings throughout those, that multiverse for the coming of the Buddha, so yeah.
And that makes also sense. Maybe that's why, if you have this a cycle like that, right? Maybe that's why the best of the Chakravartins comes before Maitreya, whereas the Iron Chakravartin came after Shakyamuni because
Yes,
it's
it's
the cycle peaks with Buddha, right? So it
yep,
goes.
yep. And the
Um,
lesser ones come after
yeah.
under Manakaiba. Yeah, exactly. I think I discussed that. That was my
Mm-hmm.
I had a speculation like that when we were originally kind of discussing that. Yeah.
And I mean, also as an aside on that, one of the things that I think is so interesting about Buddhism is that, like, cyclical history is not unique to Buddhism, but what is unique is that you have these multiple cycles going on in tandem. right? Like you have the,
Yes.
the
Yes. Within, yes,
yeah.
exactly. Within, I often talk about that in my videos. It's briefly because it just, there's only so much you can get in. But within, so yeah, so you've got the big four kind of the Mahakalpa that, and there's the four major kind of sections of that, and we're in, this can't remember now, we're in the second one, second period, I think, of the Mahakalpa. Anyway, and then within this section that we're in, there's like 20, you know, minor kalpas, I guess you would call them. They're called Antara kalpas. And then within each of those, there's the similar cycle of within, there's these, so you can have even in this later part of the kalpa we're in the declining kalpa, the declining side. You can still have it kind of goes up. You can have periods where things seem like pretty good, but it's still going down. It might level out, might go up a bit, but then it goes down. Do you mean it's always eventually going down? Do you see what I mean? But there's these
Mhm.
mini cycles of the within the context of wherever that declining kalpa is. Say if we're in our kalpa, there's this relative kind of maybe a rising of virtue and merit that allows better times to occur. Do you see what I mean? Yeah.
Mhm.
So is that, yeah, so that might be
Yeah, yeah,
where
that's yeah.
the other the other designations of Chakravartin come in. Is that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's just yeah, yes, yes.
Okay. what,
Um
were you going to add something else to that, or was
no,
that?
no,
Sorry, yeah.
that's I mean we've 2.5 minutes left, so I'm thinking we
Yes.
could
Oh, yeah. Let's see if we can get.
yeah.
So secular versus um, yeah, secular versus spiritual domains. According to traditional Buddhist sources, when Gautama Buddha was born, sages predicted that he was destined to become either a universal monarch, Chakravartin, or a universal spiritual guide, a Buddha. In choosing to renounce worldly life, the Buddha chose the latter path. And then they've got some quotes here from individuals. I don't know if you want to go into those, but Peter Harvey states, Peter Harvey, let's just quickly look at who you is an emeritus professor of Buddhist studies at the University of Sunderland. Okay. This paralleling of a Chakravartin and the Buddha is also made in relation to other events in Gautama's life. Okay. And indicates the idea of a Buddha having universal spiritual sovereignty. So the Dharma King starts kind of coming in, i.e., influence over humans and gods. It also indicates that Gautama renounced the option of political power in becoming a Buddha. He certainly had no political pretensions, as Muhammad had, and was not seen as a political threat by the rulers of his day, as was Jesus. He did, however, teach kings and give teachings on how to best govern a realm.
Hmm.
Want to comment on that for our last minute, or
Yeah. No, I've nothing to
David?
say about that.
Maybe we can get through the second quote.
Yeah.
Interesting though points. I think it makes some
Mm.
intuitive sense, but this is one person's kind of view and opinion. Smith and Novak state the Buddhist societies distinguish between two world-moving wheels: the wheel of political power, Chakra, and the wheel of moral spiritual power, Dharma Chakra. The Buddhist followers honored him with the title Chakravartin because he turned the latter wheel, setting it rolling over the earth for the awakening of and benefit of all beings.